The first trailer I saw, I don't know if you guys saw this trailer, but he's there and it's Kylo Ren and he lights up the long saber, and then all of a sudden the crossguard comes out, and it had like a delay to it. It was cool the way that they did it, like it looked good, but just as a sword collector and being knowledgeable in how swords work, this was going to be the next guy with the robot hand in the Star Wars movies. Like that, I just already knew.
I was surprised that he didn't hurt himself at all with it.
Yeah, it's. I foresaw it coming that they didn't do much consulting.
Yeah.
Hey, and welcome back to a new episode of That Toy Dude. I'm Jamie,
I'm John.
and today we are joined with my cousin Ronan.
And my son, Caleb. They wanted to join us today, have far more superior knowledge on Star Wars than us, but we didn't want to skip doing that episode, so they're here to help us.
So welcome.
Thanks. Thank you.
Ronan, I know kind of where Caleb came into Star Wars. Where did you begin? What era of Star Wars did you begin in? Was it the first three movies, or episodes 1, 2, and 3, or was it a TV show, or was it just the toys?
I think I watched it in chronological order. But I think I first got into it from Legos, from the sets there. I liked the figures a lot. They looked very cool.
What was your favorite canon movie?
I think probably Revenge of the Sith is my favorite.
I think that's Caleb's favorite too. Everybody likes a bad Anakin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of Star Wars do you currently go
Clone
by?
Wars is my favorite, that whole era. The TV series is I watched like every episode in there at least twice.
Do you currently collect anything, Star Wars wise?
Pops mostly, off and on. I don't really buy as much now, but
They will take over a house.
they will.
You start buying one or two pops, and they will. They eventually take an entire wall.
I got a few walls of Star Wars stuff.
Caleb, where did you start out with Star Wars?
I started out with the Bounty Hunters. I asked for them for my birthday one time, and then I just got into collecting a bunch of stuff and watched all the movies.
Your favorite is still
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. And favorite movies?
Revenge of the Sith, but Empire Strikes Back is a close second.
Is it bad Anakin, or is it the youngling scene that y'all are fascinated with?
Younglings, all the way.
Younglings?
Yeah.
Kind of figured. So Caleb actually brought one of his weapons with him. Tell us what you have.
This is Vader's lightsaber from Disney's Galaxy's Edge. It's very interesting. It killed a bunch of people. Yeah, everyone knows that. It makes sound whenever you make contact with anything. It basically just does that.
That's actually one you can combat with.
Yeah, it's a combat saber.
Did it come just like that, or did you build it?
It did just come like this.
Okay.
So at the Disney park in Galaxy's Edge, you have the option of buying a character's lightsaber, like this one, or you go through the experience of building a custom one where you're picking, you want this top and this part and this middle, and those aren't tied to a specific character.
Right.
But I believe they're much more expensive to make them custom like that. Whereas the pre-built character ones are much cheaper.
Yeah. Sweet. So Ronan, what did you bring?
I brought Gino Grievous figure.
So when did you get this?
My dad had it, so I don't know.
Okay. So
That's something he got a while ago
Yeah,
from Target too. You know, still in the box.
nice. 2006.
2006.
Yep.
So this Unleashed series is actually one of my favorites for multiple reasons. One, they look fantastic. Two, almost every single one of them shows some kind of motion. You just look at it, and they are statues, but you can see motion in it. There's ones where Yoda's twirling his lightsaber as he's jumping, and the lightsaber effects looks like a tornado. Boba Fett rocketing out of the Sarlacc. And despite how good they look and the extra things like, showing the motion and everything like that, which sets it aside from the typical statues, they're not that expensive. Most Unleashed in the package, somewhere in the $40 to $60 range,
Yeah.
which is really good for how good they look.
Oh, yeah.
And they look great in the package. They look great out of the package. I personally haven't had this General Grievous one, but General Grievous is, who doesn't like General Grievous? He's the only lightsaber collector in the galaxy.
And the fights are awesome.
Yeah. We actually got to meet Matthew Wood, who has always been the voice of General Grievous.
Yeah.
And when we walked up to him, he had Pokemon Go open on his phone. So I said, hey, why don't we be friends on Pokemon Go? And he said, sure. And he put up his QR code. And I was in a hurry, so instead of opening my game, I just took a picture of his QR code. So, Matthew Wood, if you're out there, I am the reason that you get so many friend requests because I brag about you being my friend. And anybody that wants to add you, I pull up the picture of your QR code so that they can scan it. But we invite him and he invites us to Pokemon Go raids all the time. And it's actually been pretty cool.
Sweet. So how did you get started with Star Wars?
I myself, I like Star Wars, like I said in our first episode. I don't know that I would go as far as to say a fan.
Mm-hmm.
I have no quarrel against it.
Yeah.
It's just I watched all the movies once.
Right.
I watched the shows. My main thing has been just supporting Calum in his collection.
Yeah.
And learning to have conversations with him, seeing movies, watching shows with him, stuff like that. So really, other than just watching the movies and liking them as fantastic science fiction movies, I would say that Calum is actually where I got the most into Star Wars.
Okay. Cool.
He asked for a couple of the vintage, and I know we're getting old. When I mean vintage, I don't mean in the 90s. He asked for some of the original Bounty Hunter figures for his birthday one year. And after he got those, he picked up this figure and that figure, and the collection started growing until we printed off a checklist, and he had a huge goal of completing the 1977 to 1985 collection.
Yeah. And we'll get to that in a little while. Yeah.
Figure wise, he did it. He doesn't have all the creatures, and the ships, but figure wise, he completed it, and it's been awesome doing that with him.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. For me, I really didn't have a big interest in Star Wars until the prequels, really. When growing up, Dad would be watching it on satellite channels, HBO or whatever, and I'd watch bits and pieces of it, and it was like, okay, this is okay, but I never really got into it until later on. And when the prequel, Phantom Menace, finally came out, I was like, okay, this is supposed to be the beginning. the beginning saga of it all. So I'll start with that, and I'll watch it, and then I'll go back and watch the 3 other movies that were already out to beginning and end. And so that's when I started getting into it. I'm more of a Star Trek fan than Star Wars, but I love the movies. I love the Star Wars movies, and I love some of the shows that come out. I haven't watched all of them. I've watched bits and pieces of them, but yeah, it's a good story, and I've collected some of the figures from Episode 1 and a few other figures, odds and ends here. And so yeah.
I think I was right there with you whenever growing up in the 90s, the movies from the late 70s, to a kid, that was just an old movie.
Yeah.
So, to a kid in 77, oh man, their entire world changed. And I
Right.
completely understand that. But in the 90s, we did have much different quality of sci-fi and computer graphics and stuff like that, which now look horrible. But in the 90s, they
Yeah.
trumped the 70s. But I think that's kind of what kept me from really watching the first 3. But then, because it would come on, and man, that scene where Vader and Obi-Wan's fighting with lightsabers, I thought lightsabers were so much cooler than that fight. But then, like you said, when Episode 1 came out, and of course we watched those,
Right.
and then I just wanted to know what happened after that.
Yeah.
So that's what got me into the original.
It was basically the same. It was like, these are old movies, and it's just not for me. And then when Phantom Menace came, it was like, okay, maybe this is, how I get into it and take ownership of, liking Star Wars, for me. And so I'd heard about, in the past, that the experience of seeing the original Star Wars in movie theater. I think the only one that I would even had been alive for was Return of the Jedi, perhaps, or whatever. And so I didn't even see that in the theater. But yeah, for Phantom Menace, that was my experience to stand in line, and there's a long line. There's not much of that today with movies, I don't think. But back then, you stood in long lines and to get the ticket, and then you stood in line to get into the theater itself, and then the whole experience of seeing all these fans dressed up, cosplay, whatever, in the theater, and having lightsaber battles, and the theater staff getting onto them for climbing on the on the furniture and other things. So yeah.
Have either one of you guys seen a theatrical release of a Star Wars, or has it all been like at home DVD streaming, that kind of thing? Have y'all seen any in the theaters?
Sequel trilogy, but those don't count because they're not real.
I don't think I have.
Any input on the Disney Plus shows?
Some of them are good, some of them are okay. I don't think there's a really, really awful one. But my favorite would have to be Andor.
I have heard that from a lot of people, and which is actually kind of surprising because before it aired, I don't know if y'all saw it, but there was some kind of course, I am just third-party reporting here. Hopefully this wasn't fake. If it was, comment and let me know. There was a set picture of one of the Andor guys holding what looked like an AK-47. And I saw that and I was like, these guys have no idea what they're doing. That gun does not go pew pew. That gun goes bang bang. So I had little hope after seeing that get reported, but I have heard nothing but good things about that show. I actually thought that Acolyte was going to be far superior with the fans because we're focused on lightsaber battles and the Force and Jedi and Sith and this that, and the other. And from everything that I've heard from fans, it's actually been the opposite, where everybody likes Andor more than the Acolyte.
Yeah, I forgot about the Acolyte. There is one bad show. But no, the good thing about Andor is that it has like one deleted scene total in both seasons, so they knew what they were doing from the start.
Yeah, that makes sense. And of course, Mandalorian was great. I really enjoyed Mandalorian. Boba Fett, it wasn't that bad, but it was like Mandalorian season 3.
They just wasted the potential of a lot of characters there.
I think we watched like 2 or 3 episodes in a row where it didn't have Boba Fett in it, and I'm just like, are we watching Mandalorian or are we watching Boba Fett? But I liked a lot of the. Have you guys ever seen Patton Oswalt's filibuster scene in Parks and Rec? Where so this is long before the Boba Fett show started being written. Patton Oswalt was on Parks and Rec, and the scene was he was to filibuster at like a council meeting. Are you guys familiar with what that is? It's where you go up and you literally just talk to prolong the time for the council meeting. You could be reading out of a phone book.
Oh, I think you've showed me this clip before.
And he goes off with this made up rant about his envision of the next Star Wars movie. And it's hilarious because years and years and years before the Book of Boba Fett, the first like 5 minutes of his rant is like the first 15 minutes of the first episode of his hand coming out of the Sarlacc pit, and it's just hilarious. You guys should check it out. It eventually leads on to Thanos comes into the picture, and I mean it's a wild story, but the way that he pitched it and in the beginning was actually the opening scene to the Book of Boba Fett, and I have not heard any official word on whether that was not taken, but you know, in lieu of what he did, because I know that he is a huge Star Wars fan, so that would have been, you know, kind of a really cool nod to him from the writers. But anyways,
We've got Star Wars pops galore, don't we? And you are a collector of pops.
I am. I have a whole wall of them
Yeah.
in my room.
And you've actually brought one
I have brought
Here.
one.
that's pretty special. At least I think it's special.
It is the concept series Darth Vader.
Tell us about it.
This is the original concept design for the original movies of Darth Vader. Looks a bit different, so is the overall same shape.
I like that they started doing some of the concept stuff. They did the 3 3/4 line of the figures, and you look at some of them, and it's just like, what is that? And then you realize it's the concept. And if you go back and look at some of the original artwork, some of it's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Other things aren't that cool. The lightsabers, I'm glad they changed that.
Mm-hmm.
Vader, though, I kind of like this one better.
Yeah.
They probably should have stuck with that.
It's almost alien. Yeah, with the eyes and just how the helmet comes to like this point, and it's just more slick.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine a Star Wars universe where this is Darth Vader instead of what we got.
I believe that it's Star Wars that I read that in order for Funko to make Star Wars pops, no matter what, they have to be bobbleheads. They can't be figures or figurines. And that is why no matter what size Funko Pop you get, if it is Star Wars, it is a bobblehead.
All right, so let's go on to more toys.
We got General Grievous and Darth Revan. I've had them for a while. They've been in my closet in a Halo ammo crate. I think Revan's my favorite out of the two of them, but General Grievous is also really cool.
I think Black Series is the first 6-inch line that Star Wars did that you could call high quality. They're extremely posable. They have ratchet joints. I would compare the quality of the Black Series to Marvel Legends or DC Direct, anything like that.
Right.
Not quite as high as NECA, but getting there, I think, as far as the quality of how good they look and their accessories that they come with. There has been tons and tons and tons and tons of Black Series that got released, and they started doing the lightsabers, they did the helmets, they did little ships, they did big ships. There is actually a 2-scale TIE fighter for the 6-inch TIE fighter pilot, and the box is, it's like half a refrigerator box. It's huge. But yeah, the Black Series is
Yeah, it's quite something. I mean, I've seen the Black Series in stores, and I've been impressed with how it looks and how detailed it is compared to where the toy line started out. Obviously, but this is for, I think, for a certain type of collector, I think.
Yeah.
As well. As well as, one that wants to collect all of them.
Yeah, and this far surpassed. It's not directly the toy line before it. There have been many, many, many Star Wars toy lines, but probably one of the biggest before this was in the mid to late '90s when they were doing the Power of the Force, Power of the Jedi, and they, after the success of the '70s and '80s figures, in the new manufactured abilities that we had in the 90s, they just pumped these things out like crazy. Most of these figures that you're holding up now, brand new in the package, perfect packages, you're looking at somewhere in the range of $8 to $12. And they had a ticket price, this one's actually still on there, $4.76. So, I mean, doubling in price sounds good, but, after 30 years, that's actually not that great. Especially considering what a lot of the other Star Wars toys have done. These two figures here don't show it. But one of the things that they did weird with this toy line was they designed everybody to have super broad shoulders and what looks like a very muscular chest.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter who you are. Han Solo, Princess Leia, Chewbacca, C-3PO.
Yeah.
They all were bench lifting. Like
it was that reusable mold
Yep.
too, so that toy prices could be cheap and affordable, and this is the Star Wars is basically, from my understanding, the first foray into action figure line that we know today.
Yeah, I would
I mean,
I would say so.
they had GI Joes, which were dolls, this size, but then I think, if I'm correct, this is like the first, not this the Power of the Force, but the original '77 toy line was basically the first start with action figures being smaller.
And these Jawas specifically, the original version that would have came with the vinyl cape was the first one that they were released with, and then they changed it to a cloth cape. And this was way back in the original movies. They were actually going to pitch some of the Star Wars toys, and he didn't have a cape on.
Right.
And one of the toy designers was wearing a brown sock. And he actually took his shoe off and cut I
it.
believe, the big toe off of his sock.
Yeah.
And put holes in it. And they pitched the toy line with the man's used big toe part of his sock on the figure as the cape. And although it was first released with the vinyl cape, they did change it to the cloth cape that actually looked more like the pitched version.
Right.
But the vinyl cape Jawa is actually one of the grails of the original set. That vinyl, did not hold up over the years, and the vinyl cape for the Jawa is it's actually really expensive. I haven't personally came across one.
Yeah. Actually, it was going through that a video today talking about the vinyl cape and how rare that is. And the cloth and I think it's like the Toys That Made Us had the Star Wars line that they were talking about, and about the sock. That's just funny. It's like, don't smell this Jawa.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit stinky.
This is my favorite vintage item, the 1983 Rancor. It is from the original vintage line, and it's really cool. It's got posable arms, legs, and a switch on the back that opens its mouth. It goes really along with my Jabba set I have and my other figures.
One thing about this figure, working in the toy world, is I have seen more of these with the fingernails chewed than I have seen with them not chewed. Now, sometimes you can tell it was a dog, but other times you kind of question it. But
Yeah.
for some reason, I have seen more of these with chewed fingernails than ones that are in perfect condition.
A lot of kids that have this, they're still, I guess, forming their teeth.
Yeah.
And so they need something to chew on that just scratches the itch, Is that the last thing?
This is the last thing, yeah. Black Chrysanthemum. Is this Black Series? I don't know. It's something.
So yes, it is Black Series. They had a couple different editions of Black Series. They have them on the cards. Even when they don't say Black Series, I call anything of that 6-inch quality, with the ratchet joints and the posability. Me personally, I call any of that Black Series, because there isn't another 6-inch high quality line. But tell us about. I've never liked this guy's name.
Never liked it?
No. Pronounce it?
Black Chrysanthemum.
All right. I did like his role in the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. And then this is another guy that actually came to Pensacon one year. Did you?
I did not. I haven't been to Pensacon. Inside, actually. But yeah, no, I like this guy from the comics first, I think. I read the... I don't remember. Dr. Aphra, I think, comics. He was in that a lot.
I know.
Fought Obi-Wan. Kind of cool.
I know that the moment that it was shown that he was going to be in the Book of Boba Fett, his first appearance in the comic book, like, skyrocketed overnight. And it ended up being a very sought-after book, and it's probably worth something even still today. But previous to his announcement in the Book of Boba Fett, it was one of the lower ends, like $1 to $5 book kind of thing. I assume he did not win against Obi-Wan.
No, I don't remember exactly how the fight went. Honestly, it's been a minute since I read those books. A minute or two, but he's a really cool character.
You've got one loose.
I have one loose. I thought this one was the one that went in there because I was rushing to get out the house,
Yeah.
and it was not. But I have a loose one
Okay.
of this little guy.
I like that the look of him ends up being so different. Or a lot of times that I have seen Wookiees on screen, it's just a different Chewbacca.
Yeah.
There might be a slight little difference, but this is the first one I think that I ever got introduced to or saw that I was like, oh my gosh, he looks like he could whoop Chewbacca. This guy looks bad.
And all they really do is like just change the color of the fur.
And
some different armor.
yeah.
Braiding, I guess, with his braids,
Hair. Yeah.
hair.
They made him a bit bulkier.
Yeah.
This is my Black Series Boba Fett helmet. It has a scope that actually falls so that you can see through it. You can see right through it when it's not dusty. The visor works. You gotta put batteries in it for it to like glow up and stuff, but it works completely.
You want to try it on it for us?
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, I have actually something that's pretty old. Okay, so this is, of course, Darth Vader's helmet. And this is, I believe, 36 years old, 1989.
Is this a
Or
Don Post?
1990, 35 years old. This is from Star Tours, from MGM Hollywood Studios back in the day.
Okay.
And so unfortunately, my helmet
You
got
thought was a
got
motorcycle
broken.
helmet?
Yeah. No. Actually, my friend at the time, he wanted to wear it. So I reluctantly allowed him to wear it. As he was taking the helmet off, because it's two pieces by Velcro, he must have taken this part off, forgetting that this was connected. This pops off his head, and we were on, a sidewalk or concrete, and this goes and busts on the concrete.
Wow.
So, and this is like a child size too. This was very painful to wear even as a child, because you've got these two parts that are just squeezed in, and so it just clamps onto your ears and on the sides of your face, and it's just very uncomfortable and unpleasant.
Yeah, and this actually is a Don Post
Okay.
helmet.
I didn't know.
I despite this being made for the tour, Don Post Studios actually, I think, made the first full wraparound. I mean, it was almost this exact same mold. They made the first wearable Darth Vader helmet that wasn't like the Halloween mask we had as kids, where it was
just half of it.
half
Yeah.
half of the
It's
face with the
plastic.
elastic band.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you have the pieces still?
I do not. I haven't come across them as I'm going through all my stuff in my storage bin. So I think we just tossed it, I guess. But yeah. I'm sure it could be probably repaired some way, somehow. Still wouldn't be, anything like it was. And I wouldn't ever, if I ever wanted to sell it, I would never want to pass it off as original if I did prepare it. But yeah, I wanted a Darth Vader helmet when I was a kid, and it was like I think $50 there. And they had a stormtrooper mask, and I don't remember if they had anything else mask wise, but yeah, they had a couple of costumes that I remember, and a lot of different things that you could buy back then. The same year, of course, I bought. They had the Indiana Jones stunt show, so they had the fedora that I purchased too. I had had to kick and scream to get my parents to buy it for me, because I mean that's $100 there for both Darth Vader and Indiana Jones. But the Indiana Jones hat is still in good shape, in piece, one piece.
Nice.
But yeah,
So earlier we had mentioned your vintage figure collection.
Yep.
You don't have it all here today. We were the figure cases that we got for his collection. It doesn't fit some of the more broader shoulder or some of the taller figures. So they actually, while these are hanging on the wall, they're standing on top of the cases. So it didn't bring the loose ones,
Right.
but he did bring his display cases of everybody that fits in them. And there's two of those. He'll show them one at a time. And these range from 1977 to 1985. There aren't any of the rare variants, like the Hollow Cheek Tusken Raider, or anything like that, except for the this Farm Boy Luke is actually a brown hair variant, which I think was sold in a Sears pack. So if you got him in an individual
Right.
pack, he had blonde hair, and the Sears pack, he had brown hair. So that's a really cool.
and talking about Sears, I've recently discovered, because at holiday times, the Sears catalog would be a physical book that they would send out. They don't do this anymore, and Sears is almost gone, if not totally gone. And so you'd have a toy section that you would be able to circle for mom and dad to get these things, order it, or either pick it up at the store. And so I've just realized that if you search online, you can find somebody has copied the Sears catalog from all these years, and it's a certain website, and I'm sure there's several other websites that have these. And the Sears catalog is a great way to actually figure out what year some of these toys have come out. Some odds and ends Christmas toys that I had gotten during the years, I'm like, I don't remember the year that I got this. And just recently looking on the Sears catalog, oh yeah, it was 1987 that I got this toy or that toy. And so it's important when you go through all your toys, you need to know what year. And
Yeah, and Sears had a lot of exclusive sets.
yeah,
Where if you could have probably got the figure somewhere else, but if you were going to get the figure like this, wearing those clothes or this color hair, you had to buy it in this 4-pack at Sears. So a lot of times I find myself looking at a Sears catalog to find the exclusives or the variants or
yeah,
something like that, because for some reason, even way back then, Sears, I think Sears had the jump on toy exclusives, really. Since then, you hear about all these other exclusives at Target or Toys R Us, but I think Sears might have nailed it in first as far as
right.
something that was being created elsewhere, but they had their version of it.
The origins of
Yeah.
exclusives. at Sears. And so, do you know how many versions of Luke there were of different color hair?
I only know of the blonde and brown hair.
Okay, because I was watching something the other day, and they were saying there were several different versions of different color hairs, and so that was kind of curious. And is Han Solo in here?
Yeah, he's on the top row, right under my
Okay.
chin.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I think that's the only version of him, unless that's a Hoth Han on the second row under my chin.
Should be.
Well, there was also talk that there was a Han Solo that had a small head Han Solo.
I've seen that one.
Yeah.
It looks kind of funny. I've seen every variant I know about, except for I've not seen a rocket firing Boba Fett. I've not seen a vinyl cape Jawa. But all the others, I think I've actually either laid eyes on or held, and some of the differences, it's like, really, this takes it from a $50 figure to an $800 figure. That's really hard to believe. This guy right here, I put my hand around the wrong side. That red guy right there. There's actually a blue variant of him where he's as tall as the other figures. And he's mad money.
Yeah.
Whereas this guy with his gun, probably in the condition-wise, I'd say $25 to $40 range. The blue one is hundreds.
And then
That would be Snaggletooth.
yeah. And then of course the vinyl
capes,
yeah.
yep.
Yeah, and so these look in really good condition too, whereas some versions may have torn vinyl, especially around the arm sockets and things like that bring the value down.
He's probably put just as much, if not more, money into replacing and upgrading the quality of the figures as he did getting the originals in the first place. I remember his first Princess Leia, the white on the top row here. His first one, she was very yellowed.
Yeah.
Which costed next to nothing. But then he found a white version and got her, and then eventually when he comes across one with a white cape, he'll replace that, and that's kind of how he's been staging up the quality of them and the condition, and how some of them look so great is because it's not just buy one figure and be done. It's buy one figure and, oh, this looks better than mine, I need to buy this.
Yeah.
And then he replaces it in the case, and usually gives the other versions away, or something like that. Who is your favorite in this case?
Boba Fett.
That was kind of a given.
Why is that your favorite?
In my opinion, he's the best bounty hunter, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's also really cool.
Yeah. Who would you say is your second? Is it in this one?
No, it's in the second one.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at the second one. I'll hand this back to you.
This one probably has the best conditioning figure, which would be the Palpatine, which would be my second favorite.
The Palpatine on the bottom row is actually still in his mail-away bag. It's never been opened. That was one of the figures that you would collect the points or the UPCs on the back, and you would mail them in, and you would get a little white box in the mail with a Palpatine in it. And I think it was either birthday or Christmas, but I got him the sealed Palpatine that was still in the white box. And so we squeezed him into the case with his bag still around him, because why open him?
Yeah.
But this case has some cool stuff in it. I know Indoor Leia, which is on the bottom row closest to Ronan here. This was his last figure that he needed for the collection. And he probably went almost a year without even buying a figure, just looking for her, because that was all he needed left. So she's pretty cool too. Always gonna remember hunting for her. I remember when he was down to just her, somebody came into the toy store and sold the store a in the package sealed original Indoor Leia. And I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. Which, of course, she's going to be hundreds of dollars because of her condition and new in the package. And I had to really battle with myself. Like, if I get him this one, he's going to open it for the case. Do I do that? And I decided not to do that.
Yeah.
That would have been absolutely nuts. I don't think I could have let him open it.
He'd have to pay with his own money.
Yeah.
For it, yeah. to
So
open it.
I sent him a text message. I remember that day that, I was like, hey, the toy store got an Indoor Leia. And he, oh my gosh, yes, finally. And I sent him a picture of it in the package, and he's just like, are you kidding me? So
How rude. No.
that is not her. That is a loose one that
Yeah.
we later came across. As far as variants in this one, obviously R2, there were many different R2s
Right.
made.
The original, just the chrome
Yep.
dome. No.
I believe that was in the first case.
Yeah.
This one is the one with the antenna.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the last wave, I think is the one that came with the lightsaber.
The R2D2?
Yeah. Or maybe that was the Droids one
Okay.
from the Droids cartoon.
Yeah.
I know the Droids cartoon had a lightsaber. I don't remember if there was a third variation of R2 that had it. But this C-3PO, unlike the one in the first case, his arms and legs pop off, and they go in a black mesh bag that's behind him for Chewbacca to wear.
Mm-hmm.
From the scene where Chewbacca was carrying all the parts of C-3PO.
That was a hilarious scene. Right there.
I like that they kind of fed off of that later on in the prequels when, because whenever I was watching the prequels and we got to the droid factory and he loses his arm and gets this arm put on and C-3PO was having all these issues with his body parts, my mind went back to being carried by Chewbacca in a bag.
And it's fun with this with the prequels. You see how much suffering they went through, and then you get the line later on. They think it was their lot in life to suffer. In the original movies that C-3PO had talked about, and so you see that, and you see all the things that they both went through.
Another fun bit of trivia right here in front of me. 4-LOM and Zuckuss, whenever they printed them, their names on the cards were flip-flopped. So Zuckuss got 4-LOM's name on his card and vice versa. I didn't know this, and whenever I was using Transformerland.com to identify figures and do my work, I noticed on their website the names were wrong.
Yeah.
And I actually reached out and called, and they returned my call. And I was talking to the guy that runs Transformerland.com, which is a great way to identify and complete your figures. And he was like, well, you're right, but you're wrong. We have it the way that they were printed.
Yeah.
And I went and looked it up, and sure enough, their names were wrong on their cards.
I see that they, later on, I guess, switched to cloth.
I definitely do think that they got out of the vinyl because Forlom here has more of a soft, almost like a pleather.
Yeah.
And then you were pointing to, well, this guy's skirt, and then the one you were pointing to is more of like a felty material.
Right.
And then later on, I think in the 85, there was the capes. I remember Old Man Anakin, his cape is just part of his mold. Where he's just much more wider figure. That's why he's not in one of the cases, and he didn't come with any material.
Yeah.
It was just part of his plastic mold. So, yeah, it does look like they actually switched after. Let's see, the first case is probably the first 2 movies, or like one of the movies and a half.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like by the time the second to third movie came around, they quit using the vinyl.
Did you ever think that you would complete the collection?
Eventually, yeah. I just didn't think it would take as soon as it did.
Yeah.
Thought it would take longer.
Yeah. This is definitely impressive.
Took them about 4 years.
Yeah. And that's a short time, to find all that.
And there's so much of those toy lines that it doesn't still have. Like I said, the ships, the creatures, the ships really. I like the way the ships look. I don't know if you've ever heard one. Have you ever heard one of the vintage ships? So the electronics inside, of course, this was before any kind of soundboards or anything like that.
Microchips.
It's literally an electronic spindle that has a piece of plastic on the end, and it will either spin and click that plastic on something or rub another piece of plastic and squeal. And I remember the first time that I repaired one at work, and it started working fine, which I had already known what they sounded like. And
Right.
I pressed the button, and it started squealing. And I was like, oh, cool, I fixed it. And one of the younger employees was like, I don't think you did. And I'm like, no, really, watch a YouTube video. Like, this is the way that it's supposed to sound.
Yeah.
They didn't believe me at all. But they definitely look cool. The TIE Fighter has a button you press and the wings fall off so that, while you're combating. The Snow Speeder has the rope that you can wrap around your AT-AT's legs, and that's a huge one.
Yeah.
The AT-AT is a pretty massive. It's actually bigger than the Millennium Falcon, toy-wise.
So let's do a consensus. I know that we asked earlier, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? Revenge of the Sith? Revenge of the Sith? Yeah. What about you?
Mine, I think it would be Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
I was mainly into the story of Star Wars whenever I was watching it. I cared more about the story. And I think that because the story that really came out in Revenge of the Sith, I think action-wise it's the best.
Right.
But all of the story that came out was almost like pre-known knowledge.
Right.
You knew Anakin went bad. You knew he fought Obi-Wan. You knew Obi-Wan, no pun intended, you knew that Anakin got hurt real bad, and that's how he got his suit. You just kind of knew all of that stuff. You knew about Luke and Leia being born from Padme, and so story-wise, there wasn't much. It was just the anticipation of seeing it on screen. There wasn't much really to learn. But in the Attack of the Clones, I feel like I learned a lot of story. So it was like watching an actual movie where I did not know that that's how all the stormtroopers came about, or the original versions of the stormtroopers. I did not know that Jango and Boba Fett played such a role in the entire story unfolding like that. Um, so I would say Attack of the Clones.
Yeah. I I like Revenge of the Sith. It's just, you see everything coming together at the very end and throughout the whole movie. And it's that complete, thought of this is how Darth Vader begins and how Anakin finally took that step to the dark side and how uh, Palpatine tricked him,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I loved the emotion, the conflict of emotion in Anakin, even as he turns. It's like it's too late to turn back. I've already done all this all the murders and atrocities, and so there's still that conflict. That later on when Luke comes into the picture, there's still good in you, Father. I feel it. And so it it just connects everything like it should. And the funny thing about Attack of the Clones is that at the time that actually came out, one of my friends had worked at a movie theater, and so I had saw that movie probably more than a dozen times for free, and I had gotten really familiar with that movie at the end of at the end of watching all of it all those times. So yeah. So I'm kind of worn out on Attack of the Clones. So with the sequel trilogy, what do you think?
My main quarrel, and this is coming from not a super fan. This is just coming from somebody that's watched 6 prior movies and is invested in this long story. Um, I'm always up for new stuff, but I was kind of surprised at how strong the new stuff was in a world that we already knew. Um, we're 6 movies, dozens of shows and novels and comics into this, and we just start teleporting items through time and space. That didn't sit well with me because I'm like, I got a buddy like 4 movies ago that could have used that. Like,
Yeah.
how is this just now a thing?
Yeah.
Along with the force healing and stuff.
Force healing had been around canonly for a while. It might not have been shown on screen because the previous movies there weren't a lot of good force users for them to really utilize it. But force healing had been around for a while in the canon stories. But just putting a lightsaber behind your back and then someone else getting it because their hand was behind their back in a completely different place, that I just had questions. And there were a lot of things like that I just had questions.
Yeah.
Whereas the other movies, they kind of answered their questions.
Right.
So these last 3 was for a movie fan.
Yeah.
It kind of fell short on me.
Yeah. I think, definitely those 3 movies had their moments, and I enjoyed them for what they were. And I went in just watching a movie since, I'm not a diehard Star Wars fan. I I enjoyed The Force Awakens, even though it was a carbon copy of A New Hope, and all that. And so at least they changed it up for the last 2. And episode 9, I guess I'm a villain person. So I love the return of Palpatine. and so even in like the books, I guess, after Return of the Jedi, um, there was a clone of the Emperor and that type of thing, and so I guess they borrowed from that and made him um, a clone of sorts, I guess, and so it was just neat to see uh, that movie. That episode 9 is probably my second favorite, just because of just the evil part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Um,
It's fun to write those types of things, and seeing how far that evil will go, and how the hero will conquer, everything
And if
at
I'm
the
not
end.
mistaken, it was the first time on screen that an actual like Sith location was shown, where the ending fight with Palpatine and Rey, and there was like a stadium
Yeah.
of Sith followers or practicers, or is it a religion? Is it a
Do y'all know?
I don't remember the movie that well. I think was it the Knights of Ren?
No, when Rey was fighting Palpatine, there was like a stadium of just black hooded people, like a lot of people.
Aliens or creatures or
I know what you're talking about. I just don't know what they.
It didn't really show one of them without a hood. I just assumed like these are Sith followers, um, but that scene kind of made me go back to the video game, um, Knights of the Old Republic 2. Because there was a lot of places that you would go to in the game, and it just had that Sith feel to it. Whereas all the other Star Wars movies, anytime you ever saw somebody that was Sith, they were on the Death Star, or they were
Killing Jedi.
yeah. It there was never any. You had your Jedi Council building, but you
but you
never
didn't.
really got taken to the Sith.
right.
So I did like that in the last
Yeah.
movie where they, okay, fine, here's a Sith scene, because I mean they're an equal big part of the story, and I think they nailed what the scene should have looked like, because like I said, it took me back to playing the video game of going
Yeah.
to all the Sith locations and stuff.
That reminds me of Revenge of the Sith for Xbox 360. At the very end, you could flip the story around where Anakin kills Obi-Wan, leaves him for dead. And it was only when you finished the whole game you could switch it and see how the outcome was for Anakin, who won, didn't burn alive or anything like that, and he did not put on the Vader suit, and so but yet he was still Lord Vader, and they were going to bring peace to the galaxy.
In that, when Anakin killed Obi-Wan, didn't he also kill Palpatine?
Yes, that too. Yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, it was. I like seeing those types of things where it's what if,
Yeah.
and so that gave you a nice little touch of what if. What did y'all think of the sequel trilogy?
I didn't really like them because of what they did with the lightsabers. It was like if you get hit, you just get burned. You didn't like lose a limb or anything. They just didn't look good for me.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think the characters kind of sucked.
How so?
Just the whole family line of Rey being
Yeah.
a Palpatine and all that, that wasn't really explained in any other movie. Just kind of came into view in the 9th movie, and it didn't really make any sense to me. Same with, like, Poe Dameron. He just kind of popped out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it's, like, a a few years after the sixth movie, but I mean, I think that there should have been more background on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying is that I feel like with the original trilogy and the prequels, George Lucas had a plan. But with the sequels, it was like, okay, let's get this one movie done. Okay, what are we going to do for the next one? Let's write that out, And of course, a different director, different writer, I think, different writer. And so it's just, they didn't have notes. They didn't have like a skeleton of, or at least I wasn't aware if they had a skeleton of a backbone of what they were going to do for all three movies. It was just like, well, let's do this, and then the next director may have not liked, or the writer may have not liked what had happened in the previous sequel. So let's change this up, and it's just a hodgepodge of ideas that didn't mesh well.
I say if Disney didn't buy the franchise, Lucas probably had a plan for it.
Yeah.
But then Disney had to just buy him.
Well, I know I came on strong earlier saying it wasn't real, but I didn't come on strong enough. It's a hot pile of garbage. It's terrible. It's awful. It's disgusting. The somehow Palpatine returned. One of the worst lines in movie history. He just kind of popped in there.
Yeah.
They had no plan whatsoever. General Hux being the spy. Worst decision in movie making. There's few redeemable qualities in it for me.
What about the standalone movies? Rogue One, Solo.
I really liked Rogue One. It was a good movie for me. I haven't watched Andor, but I'm gonna watch it soon. But I thought Rogue One was a really good movie, so I didn't really like Solo.
Rogue One was amazing. It was great. One of the better Star Wars movies.
You really got to see Vader be Vader.
Yeah.
You got that hallway scene that everybody
Yeah.
really, really, really wanted for him.
Solo was an okay movie. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the worst. Kind of in the middle.
It could have been better.
Could have been better.
Could
I
have been
like
a lot
how
better.
they had the Darth Maul scene in it.
Oh yeah, that was a surprise to me, because I didn't read. Usually, I read up and spoil it for me,
I one of the main things that I actually collect is swords.
Mhm.
And when I saw the very first drop of Force Awakens trailer,
Mhm.
and I saw the design of Kylo Ren's lightsaber, I knew something was going to go wrong with these movies. Like, they didn't consult anyone about this.
Right.
Having a lightsaber like that would be the most impractical thing that you could ever do. That cross guard, using and handling swords, you touch your cross guard a lot. It hits your forearm a lot.
Yeah.
And whenever I saw that, now, the first trailer I saw, I don't know if you guys saw this trailer, but he's there, and it's Kylo Ren, and he lights up the long saber, and then all of a sudden, the crossguard comes out. And it had like a delay to it. And it was cool the way that they did it. Like, it looked good. But just as a sword collector and being knowledgeable in how swords work, this was going to be the next guy with the robot hand in the Star Wars movies. Like, that, I just already knew.
Yeah, I was surprised that he didn't hurt himself at all with it.
Yeah, it's. I foresaw it coming that they didn't do much consulting.
Yeah.
As Palpatine would say, I've foreseen it.
I have foreseen it.
Yeah.
Although you never know, a lot of stuff happens behind the scenes. Samuel L. Jackson was the whole reason we had purple lightsabers. So
Can I have a purple lightsaber, George?
no, it's just blue and green and red. Well, I want a purple
I want
one.
a purple one. Okay.
So it could be something as silly as the actor of Kylo Ren was, hey, I want a cross guard on my lightsaber, and everybody's like, no, 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 and Palpatine's in the background. Do it.
Do it. Do it. Count Dooku. Do it. And then, of course, Attack of the Clones at the end, Yoda.
Yoda's fight was pretty good. I think I understood him more after seeing Doctor Strange. And I
Yeah.
know that sounds weird, but I mean, he's always just this decrepit, slow-moving thing, and then when he fights, it's don't mess with Yoda.
Yeah.
And I always had questions about that, and it never made any sense to me. And then I know it's completely different universe, and everything like that. But then watching Doctor Strange and knowing that he uses his magic or force per se to make his hands usable.
Yeah.
So Yoda he's using the force when he fights for his body. Whereas when he's just walking around with his cane, that's probably his natural self.
Yeah.
And he's just so strong in the force that he's able to use it to propel himself. And does that hit home with the actual fans over here? Does that
Yeah, that makes sense.
make sense? Yeah, I had Star Wars doubts answered in the Doctor Strange movie because I'm sitting in the theater watching Doctor Strange and I thought that's how Yoda does it.
Yeah. I remember vividly in the theater when that scene happened and he draws the lightsaber and the crowd went wild in there, and it was like we were watching a live show, right before us, and so people cheering and screaming and all throughout the fight, and then so once the fight is over, Yoda goes back to that decrepit, and he picks up the cane and just goes slowly, walking, and it was hilarious. I mean, people were laughing at that, and so in the moment, everybody loved it, and so it's only after that you think, well, how did that work,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Until you watch Doctor Strange.
Right.
And
You get your answer there.
then you realize that paralyzed people are out working and, because they're
Yeah.
using their magic. And
Yeah. So I think we've had another great episode and can't wait until the next one. And thank you both for being our guests.
You're welcome.
We enjoyed looking at your toy collection.
Yeah.
And so we'll see you next time on That Toy Dude.
bye, everybody.